Most men don't lose their power all at once. They lose it quietly. Not because they are weak, not because they lack intelligence or ambition, but because without realizing it, they keep doing things that slowly erode their value. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. You'll notice it in your own behavior. You'll notice it in her reactions. You'll notice the exact moment respect begins to fade, long before attraction ever does. Stoicism teaches a simple truth. A man's value is not what he says about himself, but what he refuses to compromise. Yet most men were never taught what not to do. They were taught to explain more, chase harder, give more, adapt, sacrifice. And they were told this would create love. It doesn't. It creates imbalance. In this video, we're going to break down 9 things smart, self-respecting men never do with women. Not out of arrogance, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. This isn't about manipulation, it's about alignment. It's about staying rooted in your frame while the world tests it. Because the moment a man stops leaking energy, stops negotiating his worth, stops over-investing where there's no reciprocity, everything changes. He no longer chases, he no longer explains himself into exhaustion, he no longer fears being misunderstood, and paradoxically, that is when respect returns. Stay with this video until the end, not to learn how to control women, but to regain control over yourself. Because a man who governs himself cannot be played, rushed, or diminished, and that's where real power begins.
Thing number 1. Smart men never over-explain themselves. Epictetus warned us long ago, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. This is not a call to silence out of fear, it's a call to silence out of strength. Most men don't realize how often they give away their power by explaining too much. Every delayed reply gets justified, every decision gets defended, every boundary gets softened with a story. And the more a man explains, the more he reveals something dangerous. He is seeking approval. Stoicism teaches that a man does not need to justify his existence. He acts according to his values and lets the outcome speak. When a woman asks, "Why didn't you text back right away?" a centered man doesn't panic. He doesn't rush to prove he's still worthy. He doesn't turn a simple moment into a courtroom defense. He answers calmly, or not at all. Because confidence is not loud, and it certainly isn't desperate to be understood. Over-explaining creates the illusion that your time is negotiable, that your choices require permission, that your presence must be earned through reassurance. And once that dynamic forms, respect quietly erodes. Here's the Stoic distinction. Clarity builds trust. Over-explanation destroys authority. Say what needs to be said. Say it once. Say it with conviction. Then let silence do its work. If she respects you, she won't demand constant justification, and if she doesn't, no amount of explaining will change that. A man who stands firmly in his actions becomes predictable in the right way, steady, grounded, unmoved. And that steadiness is what women feel as safety, confidence, and strength. You don't need to be fully understood. You need to be solid. And that leads directly to the second thing most men never question.
Thing number 2. Smart men never chase. They choose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or do, only what you do." Chasing is not effort. Chasing is anxiety in motion. Most men believe they're being romantic when they chase. More texts, faster replies, more reassurance, more availability. But what they're actually doing is communicating something far more powerful than words. I am afraid to lose you. And fear is never attractive. Stoicism teaches self-mastery first. A man who governs himself does not scramble for validation. He moves with intention. There is a crucial difference between pursuing and chasing. Pursuit has direction. It flows naturally when energy is mutual. It feels calm, grounded, and deliberate. Chasing, on the other hand, happens when energy is uneven, when she pulls back and you lean forward, when she delays and you double text, when silence appears and you rush to fill it.
Every time you do this, you train her nervous system to relax, because you've shown her she doesn't need to invest. Women test not to punish, but to observe. They watch how you respond to distance. They measure whether you stand firm or collapse inward. A Stoic man does neither. When interest is present, he engages fully. When it fades, he does not chase shadows. He simply steps back, calmly, cleanly, without resentment. Because he understands something most men don't. If a woman wants you, she makes it easy. And if she doesn't, no amount of effort will change that. Chasing doesn't create desire, it creates imbalance. A man who chooses instead of chases flips the dynamic entirely. He is no longer reacting, he is selecting. And that quiet shift in energy from "please choose me" to "I'm observing who earns access" is where attraction begins to reverse. Which brings us to the third thing, the one most men destroy before it ever has a chance to grow.
Thing number 3. Smart men don't reveal everything too soon. Before we go further, pay attention to this, because this is where most men lose intrigue without realizing it. Seneca warned us, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." The same applies to your story. Modern men mistake openness for depth. They believe that telling her everything quickly creates connection. So within days, sometimes hours, they unload their past, their wounds, their fears, their dreams, their regrets. It feels honest, it feels intimate, but it quietly kills attraction. Because intimacy is not a flood, it is a rhythm. Stoicism teaches restraint, not secrecy, but timing. A disciplined man understands that meaning grows through pacing. When you reveal your entire inner world too early, two things happen. First, mystery collapses. There is nothing left for curiosity to work with. No unanswered questions, no reason for her mind to return to you when you're not there. Second, emotional weight replaces emotional pull. Instead of leaning in, she feels pressure. Pressure to hold your story, your pain, your expectations. And pressure suffocates desire. A Stoic man never performs emotional dumpings. He reveals himself the way wisdom unfolds, gradually. Not because he is guarded, but because he respects his own story. He allows her to earn access. He lets conversations breathe. He leaves space for anticipation. When she asks questions, he answers honestly, but not exhaustively. When she shares, he listens deeply, without rushing to match or surpass her vulnerability. This is not manipulation, this is calibration. Because what is revealed slowly is valued deeply. And here's the paradox most men never see. The less you rush to be understood, the more she wants to understand you. Which leads directly to the next, one that separates men who become emotional anchors from men who become emotional burdens.
Thing number 4. Smart men never try to fix her. This is where good men unknowingly destroy attraction while believing they're doing the right thing. Epictetus put it plainly. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Notice what's missing. There is no instruction to save, repair, or carry another person's chaos. Yet many men step into relationships as healers. She's anxious, she's confused, she's inconsistent, she's self-sabotaging, and instinctively, the man moves closer, not with desire, but with responsibility. He listens like a therapist. He problem-solves emotions she hasn't asked him to solve. He tries to become the calm she hasn't built within herself. Stoicism rejects this impulse, not because compassion is wrong, but because misplaced responsibility is destructive. When you try to fix a woman, you shift roles. You stop being a grounded presence and become a caretaker. And caretakers are respected, but they are rarely desired. Attraction requires polarity. Fixing erases it. A Stoic man understands a hard truth. You are not responsible for another adult's emotional regulation. You can offer empathy without entanglement. You can listen without absorbing. You can stand steady without stepping into her storm. This is strength. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Her moods are outside events. Her inner work is outside events. Her healing journey is outside events. When you remain rooted in your own frame, something subtle happens. She feels safe not because you fix her, but because you don't collapse under her weight. You don't lecture, you don't rescue, you don't overfunction. You hold space, and space is far more powerful than solutions. Because a woman doesn't need a man who carries her pain. She needs a man whose presence reminds her of her own strength. And when you stop trying to fix, you stop becoming a crutch. Which brings us to the next thing, the one most men violate without even noticing until their entire life slowly shrinks around one person.
Thing number 5. Smart men never abandon their purpose for a woman. Before we go any further, understand this. This is the point where most men lose everything without realizing it. Not because she asked, but because they volunteered. Marcus Aurelius warned himself daily, if you do the work in front of you, following right reasons seriously, vigorously, calmly, without allowing anything else to distract you, you will live well. Purpose first, always. Yet the moment attraction appears, many men quietly betray this rule. Gym sessions become optional, work slows down, friends hear from him less. His schedule rearranges itself around her availability. At first, it feels romantic. Prioritizing her feels like commitment, but underneath, something dangerous is happening. His world is shrinking. Stoicism teaches that a man without a mission becomes dependent, and dependency kills attraction faster than any mistake. A woman is drawn to a man who is moving towards something, not waiting on someone. When you abandon your purpose, you send a message, not with words, but with energy. I have nothing more important than you. And paradoxically, that makes you less important to her. This isn't cruelty, it's nature. A Stoic man understands that his purpose is not negotiable. It is the axis around which his life turns. He doesn't disappear into a relationship. He integrates it. She becomes part of his life, not the center of it. And here's the shift most men never see coming. When your life is full, disciplined, and directional, you stop chasing connection. Connection starts chasing you. Women feel this immediately. The calm certainty, the lack of urgency, the sense that losing her would be unfortunate but not catastrophic. That energy creates respect. Respect creates attraction. And once a man holds on to his purpose, something else changes too. He no longer competes for attention, which opens the door to a different kind of strength.
Thing number 6. Smart men never compete for attention. Here's a hard truth most men never accept. The moment you compete for attention, you've already lowered your value. Epictetus put it simply, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In modern terms, that means this: stop reacting just to be seen. Picture the situation. She's laughing with another man. Her phone lights up, but it's not your message she answers first. Your chest tightens, your ego flares, and instinct kicks in. You talk louder, you try harder, you perform. That's the trap. Stoicism teaches that value is never proven through reaction. It's demonstrated through composure. A man who competes is silently saying, your attention decides my worth. A Stoic man refuses that bargain. He doesn't interrupt, he doesn't posture, he doesn't rush to reclaim the spotlight. Not because he's cold, not because he's arrogant, but because he knows something most men don't. Attention chased is attention lost. When you stay centered while her focus drifts, something unexpected happens. You stand out, precisely because you don't try to. She notices the calm, the stillness, the lack of urgency, and that creates contrast. Every insecure man is scrambling for validation. One man isn't. That man becomes interesting. This is why Stoics emphasize internal worth over external approval. If your self-respect depends on being chosen in every moment, you will always be controlled by whoever withholds. But when you are grounded in your own value, attention becomes optional, not necessary. And paradoxically, that's when it returns. A woman may laugh with others, she may explore, she may drift. The Stoic man allows it. He knows that if connection is real, it doesn't need force, and if it isn't, no amount of performance will save it. Which leads directly into a deeper rule most men ignore: never allowing another person to become the source of your happiness.
Thing number 7. Smart men never make her the source of their happiness. This is where many men lose themselves, quietly, slowly, without noticing. Marcus Aurelius warned us long ago. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Read that again. When your happiness rises and falls with her mood, her texts, her presence, you've handed your emotional center to something you don't control. And Stoicism never builds a life on borrowed ground. Many men don't realize what they're doing. They say, "She makes me happy." What they really mean is, "Without her, I feel empty." That's not love, that's dependence. And dependence quietly suffocates attraction. When a woman senses that she is the emotional pillar holding you up, pressure enters the dynamic. She feels responsible for your peace, your joy, your stability. No one wants to carry that weight. A Stoic man builds happiness before connection, not from it. His peace comes from discipline, from progress, from mastery over his own impulses. So when a woman enters his life, she adds, she does not define. This is why emotional self-sufficiency is magnetic. It signals strength without saying a word. You don't need her attention to feel whole. You enjoy it, but you don't require it. And paradoxically, that safety is what allows intimacy to grow. Because when you are already complete, you don't cling, you don't panic, you don't fear loss. You choose calmly. Ask yourself this honestly. If she disappeared tomorrow, would your life collapse or continue with dignity and direction? Stoicism doesn't teach men to be cold. It teaches them to be anchored. And a man who is anchored cannot be emotionally pulled apart, which prepares us for a thing that separates disciplined men from reactive ones: how a man responds when he is tested emotionally.
Thing number 8. Smart men do not react emotionally to her tests. This is where most men fail, not because they are weak, but because they are predictable. Epictetus gave us the framework centuries ago. It is not events that disturb people, but their judgments about them. A test only works if it reaches your emotions. She pulls back. She becomes colder. She flirts with another man. She questions your masculinity, your ambition, your direction. And in that moment, the test appears. Do you explain? Do you defend? Do you react with anger, jealousy, or panic? Most men do. And the moment they react, control shifts away from them. Understand this clearly. Most tests are not conscious manipulation. They are instinctive probes for stability. She is asking, without words, is this man centered, or can I move him? A Stoic man does not rush to answer. He pauses, he observes, he breathes, not because he is indifferent, but because he governs himself first. Reaction hands over power, response preserves it. When you react emotionally, you confirm that her behavior controls your internal state. When you remain calm, you demonstrate self-mastery. And self-mastery is deeply respected. This doesn't mean silence every time. It means proportion, a measured response, a relaxed smile, a grounded presence that says, I see what's happening and I'm not shaken. Tests lose their force when there's nothing to push against. Like waves crashing into a mountain, eventually they stop trying. This is why calm men are hard to manipulate. They don't flare, they don't collapse, they don't overcorrect. They stay still. And stillness communicates strength louder than any argument ever could. Which leads us to the final, the one that determines whether a man is negotiable or unshakable. Thing number 9. Smart men never apologize for their standards.
This is where everything comes together. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." A man without standards is a man without a spine, and a man who apologizes for his standards slowly teaches others to disrespect him. You want loyalty. You want peace. You want femininity, warmth, and mutual effort. That does not make you controlling. It makes you clear. Yet many men are taught to feel guilty for wanting alignment. They are told they're asking for too much, that real love means accepting everything, tolerating everything, absorbing everything. That is not love. That is self-erasure. A Stoic man understands the difference between acceptance and compromise. He does not demand perfection, but he does demand consistency. He does not argue about his standards. He does not justify them. He does not negotiate them down to avoid loneliness. He simply lives by them. And when those standards are crossed, he does not explode. He does not threaten. He does not beg. He withdraws calmly. Because boundaries are not emotional reactions. They are quiet decisions. Epictetus reminded us of this power when he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." A man who holds his standards is free. Free from manipulation, free from settling, free from chasing people who cannot meet him where he stands. And here is the final paradox. When you stop apologizing for your standards, people either rise to meet them or remove themselves. Both outcomes serve you. This is what makes a man untouchable. Not arrogance, not coldness, but clarity. When you live this way, relationships either mature or they end cleanly. And either way, you keep your peace. That is Stoic strength. Conclusion: the man who cannot be moved. Seneca once warned, "He who is brave is free." Bravery, in the Stoic sense, is not loud, it is not aggressive, it is not reactive. It is the quiet refusal to abandon yourself for approval. Across these things, a single pattern should now be clear. Most men don't lose power because women take it. They lose it because they give it away through over-explaining, chasing, emotional reactions, neglected purpose, and blurred standards. A Stoic man does the opposite. He guards his attention. He regulates his emotions. He builds a life that does not collapse if someone walks away. He treats patterns as data, not destiny. And he holds his standards without apology. Not to control women, not to dominate relationships, but to remain sovereign over himself. That is the foundation of real attraction. Not tactics, not tricks, presence. When you stop needing to be chosen, you start choosing. When you stop reacting, others reveal themselves. When you stop negotiating your self-respect, your life simplifies. Some people rise, some people fall away. Both outcomes are clarity, and clarity is peace. Thank you for watching Stoic Wisdom today. If this way of thinking resonates with you, take a moment to reflect. Which of these things did you recognize yourself breaking most often, and why? Share your thoughts in the comments. The discussion matters. If you want more content like this, grounded in Stoic wisdom and modern reality, subscribe to Stoic Wisdom today. Not to become cold, not to become distant, but to become unshakable. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay clear, stay stoic.